Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Dave Pasirstein with us today. Dave is a co-founder and CEO at Secret Shield, previously Chief Product Officer at Toposware, True Inc., which is in Denver, Colorado, and previously I would say in pharma. So has been VP of Pharma for Seal Software, as being director at Merck. Merck, gigantic pharma company, and overall an engineer and a founder. Dave's a cool guy. So we're going to talk about Secret Shield today. Dave is in Denver. I'm in Oaxaca, Mexico. This podcast is brought to you by podper.com. If you want to start your own podcast, get potential leads, get potential investors, partners on a genuine, authentic conversation with you on a podcast first, and then convert some of these into deals, you can go to podbuyer.com. We help you do just that. Dave, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you've been up to.
Hi, Charles. First, thank you so much for having me as a guest here on your show. Your show is actually been among myself and my friends has come up, and you're definitely quite prolific in this space. A bit about myself. Let's see. My background is in both technology and in management. I love to dive deep right into code up to my eyeballs, as well as helping to figure out how to take businesses forward accordingly. As you already mentioned with that warm introduction, yes, I worked in large pharma. There, I held many different positions, some in the what I guess people would call the innovation space, as well as software engineering and so forth. Leading and growing actually a whole global software engineering organization, a digital solutions team. I suppose in more recent times, between TrueU and Toposware, which is actually now part of Polygon, I was leading various types of software engineering, as well as being chief product officer, so holding CTO and CPO type roles. But yes, now as part of a bit of a passion was bringing the Secret Shield product to market.
Love that. And why go from your corporate pharma background to launching a startup?
Yeah, so prior to the corporate pharma, I did actually work in the startup space. But really, what sort of happened was while I was working at Merck, U.S. company Merck, in many other countries it's called MSD. They sent me as an expat out to Prague in order to stand up a technology center, and it was kind of like being back in a very well-funded startup, away from corporate headquarters, and really being in a position where you're truly accountable to making both the decisions and the success and the outcome accordingly. When I repatriated, I was back in the normal sort of, call it the corporate grind, and I realized that I truly had a passion for being out there and being accountable, for really being part of making the decisions that truly matter.
Right. And why the crypto space? And is it going to stay a crypto product?
That's a great question. So it started out in a crypto space because I had a challenge. I was first chief technology officer, and then a chief product officer of a crypto company. And before that, I was also just, as a hobby in the crypto space. And I had a problem in that I had too many crypto wallets, and I had all these seed phrases, and managing them was an utter nightmare. I know my wife at one point said, "What are we doing with all these pieces of paper that has all these random words written down?" And I felt there was a real problem there. But as I built this product, it really got me thinking that it can go well beyond just crypto seed phrases or things like that, that there's a tremendous opportunity even in the business landscape for situations where companies have their keys to the kingdom accounts, or what's called break glass accounts. So the break glass comes from break glass in case of emergency. And I realized there's a massive opportunity to expand the product into different domains.
Right. And what's your GTM strategy right now? How many clients do you have?
Yeah, so first the GTM. So from a go-to-market, we are targeting both advertising as well as social media, and trying to drum up awareness that the product exists, and that this is something that could be really beneficial and helpful. Now, in terms of clients, we only have a handful. We actually just kind of soft launched the product, and actually this show is probably is the first public appearance of even getting out there and fully announcing it. Even some of the ads we've done to date were really just sort of testing the waters at with very limited exposure, just trying to see what might resonate.
Right. And how many users right now, and what do you project the growth to be for this year?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Since we just launched and we're just testing the waters, we have only about 100 users, and far fewer when it comes to paying at this point. But as I also said, we haven't actually started the real marketing. We've only been A/B testing some of the advertising to see what will work. We hope to be at a few thousand users by the end of this year. Hopefully that's not too lofty of a goal. And that's for the consumer product. As I was mentioning just before, we hope to target with a business, a B2B product. And for that, we're actively doing the market research. We're doing the customer discovery right now. And it's actually something, if for anyone listening to this show, I really just would love to invite you to reach out, because we need that sort of input. We need that understanding. And if anything taught us, from the CrowdStrike sort of disaster that happened about a year ago in 2024, a lot of those disaster recovery plans, the business continuity plans, really were not prepared for those types of scenarios. And this is where I believe we have a truly unique offering that addresses failure modes that just had not been considered before, but should absolutely be considered by all businesses going forward.
Right. And your research, your user research, how do you conduct it? How do you make sure that the results you get from that is scientifically relevant? Because there's a whole bunch of bad feedback out there.
Yeah, I'll tell you from past experience, working in other companies, the number of times people are just so nice, and they don't want to tell you they don't want the product. Instead, they find some feature that they tell you, if you had this, you'd be more interested. And of course, not be interested. I follow the philosophy and the teachings of a book called The Mom Test. I don't know, Charles, if you've heard of this book, but
Yes.
it's one of those things that really helps me take a step back and think about. And one of the preachings in that book is that people lie to you. They're not trying to be mean. It's not about being rude, but it's about understanding that there's things people truly will pay for. And then there's things people don't want to upset you or don't want to let you down. So they try to give you a way out. So I try to follow what that book teaches.
Right. What insights have you got so far? And is that changing your full product direction or just adding features?
It's actually changed a few things. So just to take a step back, before I actually built the product, I spent 2 months following the teachings in that book and doing research. I actually had both informal discussions, but also formal discussions. I actually sat down and had about 30 recorded interviews going through the whole steps. The interviews ranged from 15 to 45 minutes in length, just in making sure I understood what are the things people really care about, or equally so, what do they not care about, as well as what would they actually pay it, for something that exists in that domain. But I will tell you, it's an ever-changing landscape. And so even following that book, it's still a bit of an art as opposed to a pure science, and always open to learning and adjusting.
And tell me about the B2B playbook here and preventing the CrowdStrike incident from happening again. What's your tactic and strategy for that?
Yeah, well, I can't prevent the CrowdStrike thing from happening again, but what I can do is I can help companies be able to navigate such situations far more efficiently. Especially when you think of like larger and larger companies, you're talking about millions of dollars to hundreds of millions of dollars a day in lost revenue, to the point that their systems are down and they can't conduct business. One of the companies that we were interviewing was describing how when CrowdStrike hit them, and now this is a company that was on the East Coast of the U.S. and it's a company. It generates multi-billion dollars in revenue. And Microsoft told them that if they can access the storage of their servers, they could delete the CrowdStrike driver, and then when they boot their servers, it'll all boot up and come online. And this sounded great, except following good security practices, their storage is encrypted, and so they needed their keys to decrypt the storage and be able to do that. Well, they put their keys in two places. One was a privilege access management system that was unfortunately down due to the CrowdStrike incident, so they couldn't access their online copy of the keys. Their offline copy of the keys, they stored at a custodial service. I believe it was Iron Mountain, and they put it on the opposite coast, which is a good practice to do, except all the airports were down. And so they couldn't access that. So for several days, they were losing, I believe it was several hundred, I think it was over $100 million a day in revenue. It was something insane. Backing up on this, Secret Shield, first off, from a different failure mode, we have the ability today to both do just through mobile network or through Wi-Fi and through mobile apps, be able to perform a recovery. But even if the whole network is down, even if there is no Wi-Fi and no mobile internet, if you're in the same room, we can actually do offline recovery just using Bluetooth Low Energy, just across the various devices. And we do this because we do not trust the network. All the communication in Secret Shield is designed using something called double ratchet encryption, which is the same protocol that Signal uses. And so with that, we don't trust the network. And so going over Bluetooth to us is no different than going over Wi-Fi or anything else, ultra secure. And yes, we can fully perform a recovery without any network of any kind.
Are you seeking some funding for that one? How long will you stay in research mode, and when will you actually launch?
Yeah, so today we are a bootstrapped company, and what we do realize is to offer a true business or enterprise product, we will need to raise funding. What I am hoping to do is, through this research, find companies that that are truly willing to commit to maybe a letter of intent. And for those that are not familiar with a letter of intent, it basically says, yes, if you have these capabilities, we would like to buy this product. It doesn't mean they can't change their mind later, but it is more than just something verbal. what's really great with a letter of intent is I hope to get a few of these from various companies and pivot that into raising capital and building out a proper B2B product.
Right. You exited your last startup, I believe. What happened at Toposware?
So with Toposware, I know I exited, and the company ended up getting purchased right about the same time. At that point, basically, Toposware had what I felt was truly outstanding technology. They were building what I call a ecosystem. It was a protocol for interoperability across an ecosystem of blockchains. The level of security, and if you take the level of security and the scalability that protocol offered, there was nothing equivalent in the Web3 sort of blockchain space. It was also based on using zero-knowledge proofs. In particular, they were using, I believe it was Plunky 2 and perhaps today Plunky 3's zero-knowledge proof generation as part of ZK EVM, so zero-knowledge Ethereum virtual machine, which happened to align, I think, very, very well with Polygon's technology stack. And this, I think, made it quite appealing for Polygon. And I suspect, as we're seeing, more and more is getting developed and integrated with that technology aligned with Polygon's aggregation layer.
And what's next for you this year? What do you want to accomplish?
Oh, well, for me this year, my goals are growing the consumer portion of Secret Shield, just as we've discussed, as well as getting to the point by the end of this year, I hope to be closing a raise for creating that business version of Secret Shield, a true enterprise capable product in that front.
What does a day-to-day in your life looks like nowadays? You told me about skiing. Do you have routines to increase your performances and happiness?
Yeah, I truly subscribe to the work hard, play hard. And what I also find with work is when you do things that you love, it doesn't feel like work. And so, I was mentioning like skiing definitely brings me happiness, being able to be among friends, all positive in terms of growing energy. I know me from a work ethic standpoint, when I'm doing things I love, to me, in some ways, it's all hours of the day it's just part of the routine, part of growing and doing. I know as soon as we'll be off this call, I have both meetings as well as code to write, as well as business development stuff, creating some prototypes for our upcoming, some of the meetings we actually have scheduled with some of these enterprises. So yeah, it's to me, it all comes together. It's part of life and it's a passion.
Right. What are you learning nowadays? What books are you reading? Podcasts are you listening to? What is growing that brain of yours?
Yeah, so I had finally, I don't know what took me so long. I finally finished Sapiens, and I love the book, and I really wish I would have just prioritized it a bit sooner. I think I had already mentioned a while back, the mom test, and I have a whole library off to the right. I don't want to turn my head and look away, but I'm currently reading the Black Swan by Talib, and yes. And so I'm about a third of the way through that, and I also have Ben Horowitz's book queued up for the hard thing about hard things.
Hard things. Yeah, that's a good one. And why are you picking these specific books? The asymmetric bets by Nassim Taleb, or how to prevent you from getting wiped out by a black swan, the hard things. That's a classic. Why did you pick these specific books? How are you going to apply this knowledge to your actual startup?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. To me, it's not about going out of my way to pick specific books. It's about books that are recommended from people, friends, peers, and to the extent that they resonate with challenges that I face and helping me be more passionate and thinking about what can I do to actually create more and do something more. That's really about where they come from. I can't say that I have a formal strategy or something, not researching in that sense in terms of what books to pick, but yeah, just what's been coming up.
Love it. Dave, where can we find out more about you?
Yeah, so you can find out more. Probably LinkedIn is a great place to find out more about me. I do have a little bit on the secretshield.net website as well about the founder. And I've been trying to post a bit more on X, but I can't promise that I am super diligent about that. It's just not part of my normal routine today, but I am trying to be quite a bit more active with it.
Love it. That was Dave Pasirstein, trying to not botch that, and Charles Cormier for another CEO Wisdom.